total absence of hope. That is existentialism, and that is what is explained mainly in his writings. And again he says that it is not despair. It is not the individual despair. No, it is because of the age, because of the wars that were fought. And because of that, there is no hope at all. And then he had written other works also, that is Caligula, another important work, the plague, the fall, and exile and the kingdom. These are the other important works by Camus. See, the myth of Sisyphus essay is very important. It contains his existential philosophy, and then you have The Stranger, a novel, and then Caligula, the plague, the fall, and the exile and the kingdom. These are the works of Camus. And taking into account all these works, and his commitment for the society in which he lived, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1957 when he was 44 in age. And so the jury awarded him the Nobel Prize, taking into account all these works written by Albert Camus, and for the sincerity that he had shown towards his art and for his countrymen. And then again, when he received, see, this is the speech that he delivered after accepting the Nobel Prize, expressing his great gratitude. And here he remembers his mother and his elementary school teacher. And he says that, very honestly, he says that these are the two great people who had influenced him greatly, who had developed in him a sense of truth and a sense of freedom. And they were responsible for him achieving the Nobel Prize. And after receiving this prize, he had written a letter to his elementary school teacher. And even this letter has become famous. It is available in the net. And see, one line, just one line I will read from the letter. See, this is a line from the letter. When I heard the news, my first thought after my mother was of you. See, when I heard the news, which news? That he got the Nobel Prize. My first thought after my mother was of you. Without you, without the affectionate hand you extended to the small poor child that I was. Without your teaching and example, none of all this would have happened. I repeat, listen. When I heard the news, my first thought after my mother was of you. Without you, without the affectionate hand you extended to the small poor child that I was. Without your teaching and example, none of all this would have happened. He shows his great indebtedness to his teacher for receiving such a great honor. And in many places in this speech, he says that from this teacher, from his mother, he had developed that great sense of truth and freedom. And that he exhibited in his writings. What he has received only, he can put it in his writings. And then he spells out again in this speech his philosophy of the art and the artist. Understood? I told you this speech, don't think that it's a very difficult speech for you to understand. Just remember that the first part It's the great attitude shown by Camus for receiving this great honor. And why was he honored? Taking into account all his works. What is special about his works? It's sincerity to the cause. And then again in the second part, he talks about his philosophy of the art and the artist. What is the duty of the artist? What is the role of art, etc. And then he says that artist is a voice of resistance and instrument of freedom. And then the most important point is that he makes it clear that he has no existence without his fellow men and the society. And so he says that he is important. His writings are important only in connection with the society. Or he feels one among his fellow men. That is another important point. In some writers, you will see that the artist feels that he is standing above on a higher platform, preaching his fellow countrymen. But that is not the attitude of Camus. He says that I am one among these people around me. I am one among. We are comrades. We are colleagues. I am one among them. For me, every person is equally important. Without my countrymen, I don't exist. And he feels that it is his duty to resound the silence of the unknown prisoner in the service of truth. He feels that he is the spokesman of truth and liberty. He is the spokesman of truth and liberty. And again, he feels that he should talk for the mute. He should be the spokesman of even the silent prisoner living in a distant cage. If a prisoner who is confined within the four walls of the prison, if he cannot talk, if he is not in a position to talk, Camus is there to express his ideas, to talk about his grievances, to talk about the injustice meted out to him. And this is all about, this is by way of introduction to the author, his works, and his attitude to life, philosophy of life. And then when you study this speech, you consider these points. And then I will read the first paragraph from the text. Regarding this lesson, without reading at least some lines, we can't manage. You will understand the text well. In receiving this is the speech by Albert Camus at the Nobel banquet at the City Hall in Stockholm. The speech was made in December 10, 1957. In receiving the distinction with which your free academy has so generously honored me, my gratitude has been very profound, very deep, particularly when I consider the extent to which this recompense, this reward has surpassed my personal merits. Every man, and for stronger reasons, every artist wants to be recognized. Camus begins like this. It is a great honor for every artist to have a recognition of his art, and to get a Nobel Prize is a great achievement. And so Camus thank the organizers for the award. But I have not been able to learn of your decision without comparing its repercussions, meaning consequences to what I really am. A man almost young, I told you, when he received the Nobel Prize, he was only 44. And again, do you remember I told you that he was the second youngest recipient of the Nobel Prize. He received it at the age of 44 and the first African to receive it. And so he says that I don't feel that I should get such a great prize at this age. I am young. I am still young. In that way, he goes on. See, how could he not feel a kind of panic at hearing the decree that transports him all of a sudden, alone and reduced to himself to the center of a glaring light? Glaring light refers to the award of the Nobel Prize. And with what feelings could he accept his honor at a time when other writers in Europe, among them the very greatest, are condemned to silence, and even at a time when the country of his birth is going through unending misery? See, I told you that, the country of his birth is going through unending misery. The reference is to the Algerian War, which was fought between the years 1954 and 62. I told you he was born in Algeria. And Algeria was struggling for independence from France to become independent. And the National Liberation Front had started a guerrilla war against France, and as a result, plenty of people were killed. And so that is the reference. The reference is to the Algerian Revolution, fought between the years 1954 to 62. And so, listen, he is thankful to the authorities for honoring him with such a great award as the Nobel Prize in